there. Welcome to an overview of our new GLP-1 features to include semaglutide with our partner in all things GFE, Qualiphy. We have on today with us Noah Bobot, who is the principal at Qualiphy, really the mastermind behind a lot of things that we do here at AR and how we connect with each other and work together to make it easy for you as a practice to get your GFEs done in a timely fashion at a very affordable price, but also some cool new features we're going to launch out or explain to you today, kind of go over with you today to make it really simple in the practice and hopefully hassle-free. So Noah, welcome to our show here. Glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be sharing these new features that will allow everybody to customize their practice in a much more efficient and amazing way.
Yeah, if you guys are not currently doing weight loss, this would be a good reason for you to get started. But we're going to go through what Qualiphy has been innovating in the last few months, but also how that all operates inside of Aesthetic Records. I'll go through a few demo pieces to show you how to bring this all to fruition inside the practice. But we're going to first start with Noah and all of his updates. So Noah, take it away.
All right, very excited to show you guys some updates within Qualiphy. We've added a few different abilities at the request of all of our clinics. As you can see, this lovely background has always been the background of the Qualiphy providers that connect with your patients. As of today, you can now log in to your clinic location and envision your own logo as the background of the providers that speak with your patients. We've also added the ability for you to upload your protocols for tirzepatide, semaglutide, or any weight loss GLP-1 products. And we have added the ability for you to activate and deactivate certain exams that you know you may be using more and more often, with a lot more updates on the way.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that we are now in almost all 50 states with our integration. So if you're a person using Qualiphy and you have AR, unless you're living in one of the tiny little states out there, you're going to have access to do all the integration pieces within AR. And so just to kind of go back to the beginning, a quick overview with Qualiphy, as you guys know, you can do all of your requests within AR. It goes out to your patient immediately via text. They can log on really at their convenience, hopefully soon after the text is received. They can log on, do their GFE with the provider live. It comes into AR with the whole documentation part of it, allowing you to understand what the provider thought, if it's a yes, a no, go to the medical director for more information, and it's all there for you with just a click of a button. So it's all working that way as still, but we have now added new things to it, which is all about the labs. And so as Noah mentioned, tirzepatide, semaglutide, it's all the rage. And so I'm going to walk you guys through how to look at this from an AR perspective, and Noah can speak to more of the labs as we go through. But this is a huge innovation where you're able to now let your provider know at Qualiphy what it is that your patient brings to the table as far as labs. So Noah, I'm going to walk us through that if you're okay with it.
Please go ahead. I'm excited to see.
So we're going to go into the calendar. I'm on the iPad and I have it turned this way, so it may look a little bit different. Once I click on the the calendar appointment, you're going to see here the option for my send to Qualiphy, request Qualiphy GFE. So if I click on that, now with this new weight loss option for labs, if I go through and find my consultation here, initial consult, you see a note that I need to upload something for the labs. So I will be able to go in and select a file, go into my desktop, my iPad, whatever it is that I have, probably easier from the desktop if it's an actual PDF, and upload that file and send it out to Qualiphy for the GFE. If you do not have the lab, it's going to give you an error message. So you have to send them something. So if you don't have the patient's labs yet, I would wait to request it until you have that information in and then put it in here so they'll have it all at one time for the initial consultation. But once that's done, you'll go to the patient's profile as you always have, and it'll be right there for you with the Qualiphy exam and the lab to click on, and also in the document repository. So an easy as pie. And Noah, give us an idea of how that works for your providers. What are they looking at? How does it work for them to go through it? What should the patient expect in that visit? Give us.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the provider connects with the patient, immediately right away, they'll go through all of the medical pertinent history, as well as go through all of the labs thoroughly and in depth. Checking, A1C and all the various different required procedures and lab work in order to educate the patient, in order to check in on how they're doing. They're going to give them active lifestyle tips on how to get the most out of the semaglutide, because it's not just, an injection and nothing comes with it, but, what to avoid, what to do in the case of any, side effects, and be there to answer any questions that the patient may have.
And I know from experience that there are definitely side effects. Some days you feel better than others, which is fine, but it definitely works. But I think the really cool thing about this is if you are an RN in a practice, if you're not prescriptive, they're going to provide to you what the recommended dosing is. So you're going to know as you go into your discussions with your medical director to prescribe the compound, et cetera. It's all kind of done for you. I think it's a huge time saver. And if you're in a practice where your medical director is not always accessible for you, or an NP or PA, this really does the legwork for them, so that as they come into the practice or sign up on the charts, however that works for you in particular, it's all there for you. So you don't have to go through the whole process again. So I think it's a huge time saver, but also, I mean, from a money perspective, it's a little bit more to do the labs, but not much. Can you give us a price for that?
Yes, it's $37.99 per good faith exam. That includes a full lab review and consultation.
I mean, guys, that's so cheap. You got to do it. It's great. Well, I'm going to walk you through once that's done, and let's say that you get your labs back. The provider says, Noah's good to go. This is his dosing. How do you work on that within AR? Because I think the lab's really helpful for you to see and kind of know where the patient's starting from, because you're going to be able to chart some vitals along the way and really see how their body is changing as they go. So I'm going to go into our inventory first, and I'm using, again, the web, but from my iPad, so it might look a little bit different. But I have put in a few different items here for semaglutide I've been testing. I recommend that as you do this, pick whatever your configuration is for semaglutide. And if you look at this new feature we have, the new charting feature, you're going to have an option to count units by up to 0.001. So if you want to do like a 0.755 dose or something like a very infinitesimal change, you can do it all here. I'm not about that life. I'm going to do the 0.01, and I'm thinking more like a 0.75, 0.9, whatever that may be for you. The thing you have to know with semaglutide, if you're used to charting inside of AR, is that a unit is not a unit. I encourage you to think about a unit as an injection. So if Noah's team says this is your dosing per injection, that injection is going to be your unit. And so as your cost to company, as you think through that, whatever the cost is for the patient to come into your practice and have the dose administered, or to give them the dose to take home with them, whatever that looks like in your practice, how your protocols work, I would do it as cost to company as a single price. That way, if you chart more than 1.0 or less, it's still going to really look at it as a visit as you're charging. So you see here we have our count by units, we have our milligrams, we're going to start at 0.25. So once that's kind of set up for you, looking at the pricing part of it, I have also priced it per the visit. And so if I'm charging $150 per shot, I'm going to price it that way here. Again, you're going to chart different amounts, so it's going to be a little bit wonky in some cases for you. One thing you can do, as you guys all know, is to go ahead and mark to bill by the whole unit. So if you mark this yes here, then if you get to a 0.1, anywhere to 1.0, anywhere below that, it's going to still charge for the one visit. There's also a way to go around this entirely and use a pricing variation. So I have one of those as well. I'll show you. And I will click over to that. Let me save this. And the pricing variation, we can make anything we want, any configuration that we want to make, and set a price to it. So I have one right now for a weekly shot. What it looks like is a weekly injection. And if I'm in this recipe, I can chart anything up to 2 milligrams, and it's going to count as a standard price of $150. But if you have anything like a 1.25, 1.1, it's not going to kick it into a whole other unit. It's going to say no matter what you chart for that patient up to 2 milligrams, we're going to charge it as a single weekly injection. So I encourage you to use like some crazy high number you would never get to. That way there's no limit on it. But this makes it so that no matter, again, what you chart, as long as it's less than 2 milligrams, you're good to go with that $150 weekly injection cost. So it's kind of a cheat sheet for how you chart, but the pricing variation, I think for this particular injection is extraordinarily beneficial because you're charting varied amounts. A syringe is a syringe is a syringe and filler. You're going to chart one syringe on most people, at least the full syringe. This is not that way, as you guys all know, and so the dosing varies so much. I would just use something like a variation to make it easy peasy. So that's one thing. Now, as we go through here, Noah mentioned the cost for Qualiphy. I would bake that in, if I were you, into my cost to company and spread it out if you wanted to over the course of a plan, weekly plan of some sort. I now have put in on my iPad a promotion. I'm on the booking portal, and so if I look at this 10-week weight loss plan, if you have a patient who is brand new to practice, needs to have labs, I would bake that 37, round it to 40, that $40 into my promotional price, and just have it all paid for by the patient up front. That way you're not trading pennies. So in mine right now, if I go ahead and do that, it's going to give me 10 injections for this $1,100 price, which again is a discount, right? You just saw it was $150 per visit. Now I'm a little bit of a cheaper discount. So if I were to have purchased that as a patient, and I have that in my wallet, so when I come back in and get my injections, I'm going to just use that promotional credit against my injections, and it's going to wash it away, which again is new because we now have this ability to chart our GLP-1s. So Noah, I'll pause there and click over to our chart. Anything you want to add for us as we kind of go along as far as what you're seeing with, as patients come to your practitioners, things they have questions about, FAQs we could kind of cover on the front end as a practice, anything we should know that you see as trends that are just a good thing to know as far as a practice referring patients over to you guys.
The craze for semaglutide and weight loss products is obviously increasing tremendously. I think the competitive advantage is very much so the clinics that are able to immediately capitalize and get the patient the clearance and the treatment that they need instantly, which of course, as you know, with our partnership, allows you instant access to a nurse practitioner. I do see that there are a lot of patients that do have many questions that would like advice on, how to, when to administer. So we encourage them to take their time, speak with our nurse practitioners, as well as the practices, as you know, can customize any evaluation. So they can customize the follow-up examinations or the follow-up visits in accordance with the medical director's protocol. So I implore every single clinic to actually make their own, quote unquote GFE according to their medical director's protocol, so that we're in line with everything that would your patients, we now know your patients, and so what they need, we need to be servicing and providing for. The questions, the education, as well as the instant access are really what sets you separate from any online company that is just selling what they can.
And I think about it, if you have an MA in your practice, you're paying your MA to do like preliminary preparation for your patient. This is like the same kind of thing for me. If you'd be willing to pay for an MA to do all of your prep work in the room, pay for a nurse practitioner to do all the prep work for the patient to come into you and then be ready to go. Like there is none of this legwork in the beginning. It's like we're all done. So the time in the chair is significantly reduced, but also, again, if you have a non-prescriptive provider, it's all taken care of for you to have GFE compliance and also now have a dosing requirement or dosing recommendation. So I think that's a really interesting piece of it, is it's the same kind of cost for me. But the other part that's really cool, you mentioned competitive advantage, is if you're doing weight loss, chances are the patient will also need at some point a Morpheus or a Genius or some kind of body, an RF microneedling device, or even some of the M-Sculpt devices to tighten their skin, to tone up. Because as we all know, you can get skinny fat with GLP-1s. You can lose a lot of weight, but you don't look toned. So I think the other part of this is, as you look at more devices down the road, having, again, a partner to say, we've treated your patient with weight loss, we've given her what she needs for the labs. Now the next step in this, we're going to see her again for another GFE with her microneedling devices or her body contouring. So I think it's a nice relationship. The patient's familiar with Qualiphy at this point. They know how it works. Your practice is part of this world as well. They know how it works. So I think it just makes it really, really seamless for you. But a great partner, and I think it's just a way to not only get them in for weight loss, but also all the things that come after that, which is a much bigger long-term revenue stream for you as a practice. So
I have to add, you're really touching on something that we've also, we agree with you entirely. And that's actually why there's a premium feature that's coming out. If anybody would like it, feel free to reach out. But at the end of your own examinations, the custom ones or any that come from your practice, right now it currently works that, they rate their experience. The patient is prompted to rate their experience. Now the redirect can actually be custom to another service or another landing page on your website that may be, a good hand-in-hand product similar to, Morpheus 8 after, GLP-1 weight loss consult.
Because then the patient's already preconditioned to understand that these things work in tandem, that they're all part of one continuum on the weight loss journey. So I think it's great to hear it from your NP and the GFE, but also again in the practice from your whoever's doing it in the practice for you. It's just like a really nice, consistent message. So I'm going to take us through now the charts. Let's say they walk into practice. Now they're ready to get their injections. We've looked at their chart. We've looked at their Qualiphy results. They're good to go. GFE thumbs up, all set. So I'm going to use a cosmetic timeline. We can also use the health timeline. I can show you that in just a second. But on the cosmetic, you're allowed to chart a little bit easier as far as like the exact dosage. So if we were to chart, I'm using the template for the abdomen because most cases we're going to inject there. Again, you don't need to use this if you don't want to use a picture at all. You don't have to. You can use the health timeline, but let's say we're going to use this one. I'm going to first start with the pricing variations. I mentioned that before with the recipe. We have one called the semaglutide weekly injection. So I'm going to click on that. And this is going to be the option to chart all the way up to 2 units, and it still only counts as a weekly injection of 150. So if I click on that in my little bucket here, I'm able to now take this and chart whatever I want to chart up and down to get to my 1.0 or my 0.75, whatever that may be. So I've gone ahead and chosen that for my pricing variation charting options. I can just increase my dose here. Let's say she's going to get a 0.75. So once I do that, 0.75, I can now put that here in a little abdomen, hit done, And now if I go into my summary, I'm going to see the 0.75 as far as traceability, but then on my cost, I'm going to see the full 150. So we're not going to get caught up in that, is it a full unit or not a full unit? It's going to go ahead and just charge the patient for a weekly injection. So that's kind of one piece of it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my details, and I'm going to show you that real quick here. So if I'm in my checkout screen, I have my 150 in the cart. If I have done the variation, unless she has pre-purchased the variation specifically, as you guys know, you can't redeem against it. It's one of those things where you buy it and you have it done. But you can use the redeem for value. So if I'm in my cart, I can go to my wallet here. And Anastasia has lots of weight loss opportunities. She's bought many packages. I can go ahead and redeem for value instead. And I have the 150 here listed. I can go ahead and put my 150 in, redeem for value, and now my cart is zeroed out. So that's one way to do it. So if you wanted to go ahead and sell a package but chart the variation, you just redeem for value. So that's kind of option number one. Option number two would be, instead, I'm going to go ahead and delete this out, and I'm going to, instead of charting my variation, I'm going to chart an actual regular product. We have our semaglutide right here. And I'll go ahead and change this same exact dosage, 75 again, and I'll go ahead and give her a little injection there. Now for this one, same thing again. I'm going to have in my summary the 0.75. I have a bill for the whole unit marked for this particular product, so I'm still going to get billed the 150. So I'm going to go back to my little checkout screen. And you see here the 150. Now this, she has pre-purchased, right? I showed you the promotion before. She bought a 10-pack in the promotion. So now the wallet's going to be a direct match. So I'm going to go to my wallet and go ahead and apply her credit. So if I go here, I can redeem for 1 unit, and now her cart is zeroed out. So it's very simple now to sell a package with semaglutide, but also to chart it. You might be using tirzepatide, so change the name. Use whatever it is that you're using in your practice, but it's very, very simple to do here as far as using now a promotion or a package in the variation. So that's one thing, is charting has got to be done really well, because if you go through all the work to get your GFE done, to get your labs pristine and all reviewed, and then you don't get the charting done correctly, it's an issue. So I think charting your exact amount is very, very important here. You can also use the charting tools to type it in if you wanted to, but now with this 0.001 option, you can just go ahead and do your little chart. Now if you're going to use the health timeline, very similarly here, I would just show that real quick. I'm going to back all the way out of this, and I'll do a really bad version of a health procedure here. Let's say you want no pictures at all. You don't care about the pictures. You want to go ahead and just do, let's say weight loss injection number 1. Very similarly to what I just did, I can take the payment, my 150, and now I see it here, and I followed the exact same protocol to use it from the wallet, redeem against it, but on the health, I'm just not using a picture. And then lastly, I'll show you one more thing I think is pretty cool that was a pet project of mine. I'm very happy it's now live, is our chart for vitals. So if you look at your vitals chart here, our friend Anastasia has been in 3 times for injection, so she's gone from 113 to 110, so slow progress, but she's already small. So if we look at this, we can go ahead today and chart her vitals for today. So let's say she's still the same height, we hope. She didn't shrink. Maybe her weight today is 109. Her BMI is going to be, I don't know, 16.5. We'll see her pulse is 99 because she's a little stressed. 42 on her breaths, and we're going to go ahead and save that. So now if we save it, you see here in the BMI, there's a color scheme for that. If you look for your settings wheel here, I have all my colors that I have set for myself. I have chosen my underweight, my health, overweight, and obese. So Anastasia is underweight. Her BMI is less than 18.5. I can change all this if I wanted to have a different starting point. So it would be a really nice way to start this is once you get back your labs and you see the patient for the very first time, chart day 1, obviously, for vitals. Like, where's our starting point? Then you can go through and also choose what you want to showcase. Do you want to look at blood pressure? Do you want to look at temperature? Do you care about body fat? What do you want to display in that charting record for the vitals? And once you choose that, it's there forever. So the cool part that I like most, and because I've done these really close together and the weights are like a pound, it's not going to look as impressive, but I can hit my chart button here and create a graph. And let's say I wanted to look at her weight. I'm going to go from her very first visit here. Let's say we'll go March, I think it was like March 4th, all the way through today. We'll hit create, and again, because she's pretty small, it's not drastic, but you can see the trend line here. You can see 4 different options. I can go ahead and spread it out so you can see a bit more dramatic taper. but I can do this for all her vitals. So I can see the chart, she's getting smaller. So as you look through the progress over 10 weeks to go from visit 1 to visit 10, let's say she lost 20 pounds. That's going to be a significant change in that line, in that trend line. So it's a really nice way, meaning competitive advantage, as Noah said, to showcase that your program is working, that what you're doing in the practice, that you have the appropriate dose, you have the appropriate safeguards in place to make sure that they're not sick and the things that we often hear about, but also that they have a nutrition plan, that they have a fitness plan, because now we see the proof is in the pudding, a great trend line. They're getting skinnier, they're getting more in shape, feeling better. So I can create another graph as well. I'm going to look at my BMI now, and I'm going to look at the exact same date range, hit create, and now I have another graph that stacks below it for BMI. So if you want to show the patient, look how good you've done, you can stack your entire graph list up and show them from weight loss to BMI to blood pressure to heart rate, whatever it is you want to show them in their amazing journey. It's great if they're coming back from maintenance dose to show that over the course of time you've not fallen off, you're still, still consistent, still trending in the right direction. So the graph is brand new, the charting is brand new, the POS combination to allow you to do a health timeline procedure for semaglutide without pictures, but use the wallet for promotions is brand new. So a lot of really cool things happening there in conjunction with the innovations at Qualiphy to offer us now the chance for labs and to have your protocols in place for the MPs there to follow what you want in your practice, your recommendations. And then again, you have a really cool background so that now it's branded with your practice name on it. So I think, Noah, a lot of cool things happening on the Qualiphy front, but also at AR.
Yeah, definitely. I think that that is super motivational. To be able to see and track your trend lines is a huge component. But I'm really excited for what we're both rolling out, especially at this time. I think it's going to benefit practices tremendously. The ability to, we're in 45 states and more to come. We're trying to get to all 50. But of course, we want to be as instant as a virtual walk-in as you could possibly get to, and that is the business model with the inability to schedule, even if you wanted to, because we're there the moment that you need us for these clearances. And I cannot say that with AR's integration and the whole semaglutide rollout, the customization within Qualiphy that you can do within your portal is going to elevate the brand value significantly. You'll have your own virtual background. The patient will speak with a very, very caring, a well-educated nurse practitioner, clearing the patient, going over any questions, going over all of the lab review, and making any recommendations necessary. After that, they're in your medical spa with a beautiful aesthetic record, new trend line, patient management system. It's very, very, very simple to customize your own exams, your own protocols, your backgrounds, everything from A to Z.
And I think one of the cool things too, as you guys are watching this, you're going to get a little kit full of freebies of helpful things for your practice to think about communicating to your patients the value of using Qualiphy. One of the things that I recommend strongly is that because it is a different service, it's third party, right? It's not your practice. It'll look like your practice, so now with a nice logo on the back of it. But in your pre-instructions, your pre-treatment instructions, when they book the visit, put a little blurb in there about Qualiphy, that they're going to get the email, they're going to get the request to do a GFE, to do their lab work, like all the things that you want them to know up front. Put that in the pre-instructions. But I'm going to also provide to all of you a template in Canva that's a nice email that you can send out that says, we need these things, here's what's going to happen next, here's the process for all of this. So you'll have just a really nice, luxury language to explain to them the benefit of having a nurse practitioner do this for them basically immediately over the phone and get this all done before they come in for their actual injections, because now it saves a visit to the practice. This will allow them to get all the kind of the legwork done so that when they're actually in the practice, they can focus on, face procedures, they can focus on facials and other things that you offer, retail items, and not be bogged down with, my gosh, I've been here forever, we're still here, we're still doing this. It's all done, all finished, and it also allows you to do the full entire initial consult virtually. So if you have a lab that's already been assessed, you have a dosing, you can send them the vitals that you need and put this in here every week even. So if you wanted to say, go home with your dosing, go home with your, we've already pre-configured your 5 weeks of dosing, come back in live at, week 6, but you can have them every week, just send you a text with your vitals listed out, and you can go in and actually chart that for them each week as like a check-in visit. So I think there's some really cool ways to take the time in the practice and use it for things that make money, that can only be done there, like injections, and you can be doing these kinds of things virtually with check-ins because you have so much kind of pre-legwork already done before they ever come to practice. So that's one thing I would say is I'll give you a really cool email that you can use with some little social media badges as well, as to how your process works. But I'll also send to you guys a dot phrases option, so you can have a full dot phrase that will explain that you've done the GFE with Qualiphy, that you've done your labs with Qualiphy, so you can put that in the chart on the first visit. It's like your pre-configured notes, but also for your ongoing injections. I will also send you a template that shows you how to build a recipe, how to do your semaglutide inventory item, how to use the wallet to redeem it against both, so you'll be able to see both options there, and how to advertise it as far as your online booking portal to show that you're using or that you're doing this new promotion for weight loss. You're going to have a whole kit of things that we're going to send out to you and a checklist as well to make sure that as you do this, you know your cost to company on a weekly level, weekly injection level, that you have things like the check-in protocols done if you want to use texting. So I'm going to send you a bit of a little book, a little white paper full of lots of resources, lots of click-throughs you can use, all for tuning in today and listening to us talk about these fun, new, amazing innovations. So good luck with that. I think it's going to be very valuable for you. So Noah, as we kind of roll off here, anything else you want to mention or give us any more what's coming next, what's coming soon? Any good peel back the covers and tell us?
Well, I can't reveal everything, but I do get a couple questions about how the lab review work and the follow-ups work. And the follow-up exams are there for you when you need them. We recommend monthly, and ultimately it is up to your medical director's protocol. So, people say, do we come once a month, twice a month, once every 2 or 3 months for the next dosage? And so that is really up to the medical director of the practice. I think that that's an important question that I get very often. As far as future enhancements, you'll just have to wait to see, but we do have some really exciting new features coming out that I think everybody's going to be pretty excited about. And with this AR rollout, with this instant connection, basically totally white labeling your process from A to Z, I think we have something magical cooking.
Well, I've got a big update that I think will be important for those listening. We are going to be launching an internal eFax option so that you can send your labs out directly from the patient's profile with your orders. The lab can fulfill your orders, do the entire blood work, and then fax it back into your patient's profile. So now when you go to upload that lab, it'll already be in AR in the document repository. You can just download it and connect it over to your GFE request without having to do anything outside of AR. So it's going to all be working together for you in one big platform. That is well underway. So before we get into the summertime, that will be launched and done. So you'll have a full integration here to request your labs and get them faxed over and faxed back via eFax within the inbox for AR. So coming very soon, and hopefully make it even easier. If this isn't easy enough, even easier to now control the entire process from booking the first visit all the way through getting them in for their actual first injection. So fun things to come. Well, with that, we will, I think, sign off, but I'll make sure that you guys have in the link for this all of your goodies that you can take and use. Give us feedback on this, what you're thinking. If there's things that we're missing that you think we should be adding on in a future state, let me know. He and I both love to build this. Noah's a builder, so am I. So we'll be glad to build it for you if we can and make it work.
If you guys have any questions, reach out.
Thanks.